Hello, and welcome to another Pioneer gameplay with myself, John, and my partner, Jay. And today, we got two fairly competitive-ish decks we've kind of seen in Pro Tour. These are slightly different from the Pro Tour lists. Lotus Field and Bant Auras. Jay, what do you think of this match?
Well, it looks like just stock Lotus Field, which is a combo deck, against pretty much it's not very commonly played, but pretty much stock Bant auras.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to be who can win first. It's going to be one of those games where they don't really interact with each other, and it's
Yeah,
going to be all about how quick can Bant auras kill and how quick can
yeah,
Lotus Field combo off.
yeah, and like I like what you said there, where like there's very little interaction between the two, but I think Lotus Field does have access to sort of interaction with the board at least. I think the only thing it could not interact with easily would be the turn one hexproof elf from the Bant Auras deck.
Yeah, there are some sideboard cards. They've just gone away now, but Path of Peril does take care of most of the creatures from Bant auras,
Hmm.
and that can be brought out from the sideboard with Fair of Wishes or Mastermind's Acquisition.
That
So
is true. That is
we may
true.
we may see that if they think that they're not able to combo off quickly enough, and they want
Hmm.
to reset the board and sort of give themselves more time. And potentially after sideboard, we may just see Path of Perils come in because it's such a good card.
Hmm.
Once they've got a Lotus Field down, they can just tap that Path of Peril and completely wipe the board, and it would kill pretty much everything, and it gets through hexproof, so it works.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of insane how Lotus Field can essentially be played as a full 75 card deck in that sense, right? Just because of the wish cards it has access to.
Yeah, I mean, it can't wish as easily as, like, let's say Khan does in mono green. I
No.
would say it takes quite a lot of effort to be able to wish for certain cards and then have the mana to play that. Oh, that was a very quick
Oh,
round
that
one.
was.
We saw the Lotus
Oh,
Field player kept a one land hand, played a land, scryed, and did not draw any more lands, it looked like.
I mean, the Auras player also just had a one land hand and just still kicked off. And I think that's another thing as well. Bant Auras is quite low curve that a one land snap keep, as long as the colors are there, it seems to be quite a feasible strategy. Especially, I think they went first as well
Yeah,
in
for
that
sure.
game.
I mean, if they can go turn one into turn two aura on that turn one creature, and then turn three
Mm.
another aura, you don't really need more lands. I didn't get a
And
chance to look at the sideboard. What do you think is going to be brought in by Bant auras here?
well, like you said, Jay. Um, well, by Bant Auras, well, I'm not entirely sure. So this Bat Auras list does run sort of some does run removal in form of portable holes, which I guess is for like sort of other aggressive formats or creature based formats. But Lotus Field, they don't really have that many creatures. In fact, I think there's barely any outside of some key pieces from the sideboard which could help in certain matchups that could be wished for. So I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah,
There is possibly a
I'm not
Denic
too sure.
coming in,
I,
which
I feel like Bant auras already has a decent enough matchup because they do have the capabilities to just be so quick. You know,
hmm,
if they can get a creature down and an ethereal armor or two on it, it just becomes so difficult to deal with. And here we see Glade Cover Scout turn one. It's exactly where you want to be.
yeah. Oh, and there is a creature. Sorry, there is a creature in the Lotus Field deck, the Voyaging Satyr. This is just another card that combos with Lotus Field quite well in this
Yeah,
instance. Oh, and a Stone Brain turn two. And I imagine they're naming. What are they naming?
well,
There's nothing.
here it depends if they play. Okay, so they're Sylvan Scrying for Lotus Field. They're going to go get a Lotus Field, and they're going to play it,
Mhm.
and they're going to be able to untap it immediately, which is very good.
But that's a
Throne
bit
Brain
insane.
here is probably going to name something like Hidden Strings, Pour Over the Pages, or maybe even Thespian Stage. But now that they have a Lotus Field and a Voyaging Satyr,
Hmm.
effectively they already have a Lotus Field and Thespian Stage because things like
Yeah.
Hidden Strings, you can untap both the Satyr and the Lotus Field.
Oh,
Oh,
that
they
is
just decide
insane.
to pass the turn. I believe
That
they're
is
looking
insane.
to impulse end of turn.
Which it might be just lucky for the Aurus player, but the Aurus player does need to pick up something. Oh, there's some discussion.
They're trying. I believe they're trying to figure out whether they must name before they can search through, and I believe they must name first.
Okay.
Yeah, so I
All
believe
right.
they're saying whether they need to name when they choose to activate it. Just in case there's a response. I believe there could potentially
Yeah.
be like a Besaiger or something, but then the trigger would still happen, so I'm not really too sure.
Yeah, like whether or not you sacrifice, if he names, the trigger will be on the stack regardless, right?
Yeah. So
So
I'm not entirely sure.
it's it is a lengthy. I can kind of see why game one was fast forwarded. This is like a bit of a talking point in game two.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Are they getting a second opinion? So in this instance, again, we're let's go back to discussing what could possibly be named. I reckon Thespian Stage is a very good card that could possibly be targeted in this position.
Yep.
But like, because it's kind of pointless hitting Lotus Field, right? They only really need the one.
Yeah,
Like
there's
for
no
them to play
point
another
hitting
Lotus
Lotus
Field.
Field. Lotus Field
Yeah.
requires you to sacrifice 2 lands, so they're probably never going to play another Lotus Field.
Mm.
So no point hitting that. Thespian Stage is probably a good hit. However, once they already have Lotus Field and a Voyaging Satyr out, they effectively already have a Lotus Field Thespian Stage out.
Yeah.
So potentially they may look to stop them from drawing so many cards with Pour of the Pages, or maybe
Mm.
taking care of hidden strings to hopefully stop them from comboing off, just taking out some of the key pieces. Or they
Yeah, I
could
think
take a wild stab in the dark and take out a Mastermind's Acquisition and hope that's the only card that can access the sideboard.
I mean they could also take out the one of the big payoffs, the one that searches for those cards in the first place, right?
Oh, yes. Dark Petition.
Yes. But also what's that? Was that 3-colored card, the blue, black, green one?
Oh, Emergent Ultimatum.
Ultimatum. That's a very good target as well.
Yeah, that is a very good target, indeed. So
Oh,
I
there was
believe that
Thespian
they've
Stage in
named
hand.
something. Oh, so they have named Thespian Stage. So they're now all going to get
Interesting.
exiled. And if we look at the
Hmm.
hand, there is an Otawara, a Path of Peril. So the Lotusville player did bring Path of Peril in,
Yeah.
like I thought they may. An Emergent Ultimatum and a Pour Up the Pages.
Ooh, and depending on how this next turn goes, the combo may already have been assembled.
Yeah, the only bad thing about Voyaging Satyr compared to Thespian Stage is Pour Over the Pages, I believe, only lets you untap lands. It doesn't let you untap creatures.
Ooh.
I believe
Oh, but
Pour Over the Pages is. Here we go, attack 4/2 with Ethereal Armor.
and the Bant Aurus player opting to just go for it regardless. Path of Herald could just be played here, but that would also kill off the Satyr, right? And
Yeah,
the
I
Lotus
feel
player
like
kind of needs it.
it's kind of like a nombo here because the Voyaging Satyr is so essential. But I guess
Hmm.
Path of Peril is a last resort, and I think the Bant Aura player knows that they can attack with a 1/1, and for 18 turns. The Lotus Field player isn't going to care until they
Oh,
start loading up a few auras. Then they're going to potentially crack the Path of Peril.
Hmm. So like he's just playing chicken with his opponent. He's like, "Come on, give it a go. I dare you. I triple dare you." And we are seeing sort of the synergy. So this could just be leading into Path of Peril into something else. Oh, and they have a hit pour over the pages.
No, it's a hidden strings that they're doing right now.
Oh, a hidden strings.
Yeah, so this nets I believe 4 mana. Oh, I believe they're just going straight for Emergent Ultimatum.
Yeah, makes sense in his position. I think
And so here you can just see the raw power of Hidden Strings plus Voyaging Satyr.
Hmm.
The
That
the
is
reason
insane.
Voyaging Satyr is in the deck is because it allows for the turn 3 combo, whereas previously it wasn't possible to get the turn 3 combo as
Hmm.
as easily.
Yeah. And I guess it's also that redundancy, right? Because you have ways to search for Lotus Field, but you may not have that then available for you to find Thespian Stage. So Satyr being just that slight redundancy. And we do see the three chosen cards, which is you're never in a good position when this combo resolves, right?
No, I mean, effectively, no matter what you choose, they just go and search for whatever cards that they want to get anyway.
Mm,
So it doesn't really matter what you choose. There's effectively no choice with Emergent Ultimatum.
yeah.
So Omniscience is being put back, but they can just behold the Beyond to go search for it, and that's what they're doing. They're searching for 3 cards and putting them in their hand.
Mm. And I believe he's able to cast something for free.
Yeah, so right now he's casting the Behold the Beyond for free off Emergent Ultimatum.
Oh boy.
So those are the 3 cards that they're getting in his hand. I believe he's doing this face up to show the camera. I believe Banoras may understand that. The Lotus
Yeah.
Field player pretty much already has it.
Yeah, we are I guess watching this play out for the purposes of content. Hey guys, content. Subscribe, like and subscribe guys to the old Emo Dave channel where we have more Pioneer games available twice a week. Hopefully, well we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But back to the game. We are seeing this so is there sort of different paths that the Lowesville player is thinking on?
Yeah,
Because we do see Leah coming out instead, which does activate the entire graveyard as a possibility.
so the reason here that they're getting 4 cards is they're resolving Behold the Beyond first, which lets them discard their hand, search for 3.
All
And then
right.
they're doing Dark Petition, which
Okay.
resolves afterwards, and then they get to search for whatever card. So they get 4 cards, and they get 3 black mana added through Spell
Ooh.
Mastery.
And untap because of the extra blue
Hidden
mana
Screen.
available.
Yep. And then I believe they're going to play Leah, and with Leah, they're going to just be able to use Hidden Strings quite a few times, and then they're going to get to play Omniscience, and then they're going to Mastermind's Acquisition to go get Approach with the Second Sun. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
cast it for free, and then
Yep.
they're going to cast Mastermind's Acquisition from the graveyard through Leah, go get Approach with the Second Sun out of their library, cast it for free, and they win the game.
Like, no cap though. As nice as it is to see this combo go off and go through the step by step, this is boring. Like,
Yes, yeah.
I don't know what to say anymore. We're
effectively, it is boring. You know, I have to admit that there is some respect to Lotus Field players for being able to go through this slog every game. But I can imagine coming down to FNM and you know playing solitaire for a bit.
and like your opponent's just watching, and it's I wouldn't blame I would not blame the Bant Oris player for just deciding I'm just gonna go grab lunch now. I'll come back. What was it? It's like that the famous F5 moment from Brian Kibler in a Pro Tour long ago, where he just writes on a piece of paper F5 and walks off. Would not blame the Bant Oris player in this position. Normally, in a quick play, it is kind of like, right, you got the combo, cool, next game. But I
Yeah,
believe he's asking the opponent to play it out. Maybe the Bant Oris player isn't fully aware of how this combo is resolving, so he might see maybe there's a chance.
yeah. I mean, there is sometimes a chance. This is just a Friday night, but if it was an RCQ, store championship, or potentially even something more serious, then it's always important to let them play it out because they may not always have it, and even if they do have it, letting them waste their own time and potentially, you know, giving you a free draw if you are looking
Yeah.
for a draw in game 3 is good. And a reminder that if someone is taking too long, these combo decks do require a lot of thought. But if you believe someone is taking too long, it's always okay to ask a judge to just come over and have a look.
Yeah. And that is game 2 to the Lotus Field player. So far, quite quick, but then again, it was a fast forward game. It was fast forward gameplay game 1, which was pretty one sided, and the outcome was fairly clear there. But the outcome in game 2, arguably, was fairly clear. But I appreciate that there was at least this instance a
Yeah,
way to.
well, game 2 would have gone incredibly different if Bant was on the play, because they would have
Mm,
been able to Stone Brain turn 2
yeah.
and Stone Brain the Lotus Field before the
Mm,
Lotus Field ever got played, because Lotus Field can only be played on turn 2 if you get an Arboreal Grazer down, and they didn't get an Arboreal Grazer down. So it
no,
would have
that
been
is
a completely
true.
different game. And without Lotus Field, it does become almost impossible
Mm.
for them to win.
I guess it was like it's also just there was no interaction for the satyr as well, right? So it was just available for the Lowersfield player to just be able to use and abuse in that sense.
Yeah,
And
it's probably why the Satyr is so good, because you know that nobody's going to be bringing in removal. They're going to be taking out removal against you.
mm,
So there's no point. I saw Lotus Field's hand. It looked like they had just a singular forest, which is not
ooh,
really a keepable hand.
how many lands does his deck run again? Because like statistically, that's kind of bad running, right? Have one
I'm
landers
not
in
sure, but
Lowersfield.
I believe Lotus Field is kind of on the low side, because you effectively only need 3 lands, 4 lands
That's
maybe.
true.
Two
That's
two to
true. And
sacrifice to Lotus Field, then
mm,
Lotus Field, and then Thespian Stage. Um,
yeah.
throughout the whole game, and they have Sylvan Scrying and Impulse to go and search for whatever lands they need.
Mm. So I guess a two land opener is not so far out of the realms of like keepability with a deck like this. But as well, I guess, yeah, you're right. Like, especially with cards like Pour Over the Pages, the last thing you want to draw is 3 lands off the top of that, right? You want to keep the combo going.
Yeah, so here we see is a Scroll of turn 1. It looks like the Lotus Field player had a 3-land hand with Boseiju, Otawara, and Yavimar Coast.
All right.
And they didn't have anything good in their hand. However, they did just draw off the top of Sylvan Scrying, I believe, which is very important, as
Ooh.
it allows them to go search for the necessary. Sorry, it allows them to
Mm,
search for Lotus Field.
yeah. And the Skrelv is currently a 3/3 because all that glit is looking for enchantments and artifacts. And turns out Skrelv is an artifact creature. The big mama coming in, and the Lowesfield player opting to block. It's not bad. I think the Lowesfield player wants to keep the life total high as much as possible without giving the Bant player any sort of avenue where they can win due to an increment of damage.
Yeah, I personally, I'm not sure about blocking there,
Mm,
because they're blocking 3 damage. Arboreal
yeah.
Grazer only has 3 toughness. In future
Hmm.
turns, you could argue that Squirrel might gain trample, but even
Yeah.
if they gain trample in future turns, the Arboreal Grazer is still going to only stop 3. So
Yeah.
if you don't block there and block in a future turn, and potentially there isn't trample, you could
Mm,
block more than 3 damage, which could make a difference here. So next turn, let's say Skrelv gets 2 ethereal armors on it, becomes
yeah.
something like an 8/8. That would have been 8 damage saved by the Arboreal Grazer chump.
Mm, that is
Oh,
true. And oh, speaking of which, Ethereal Armor is coming in, and it was free.
yeah,
Oh no,
it's
he's
completely
counting. He's
free.
the. Oh, he did. Hey, oi, oi, oi! Banora's player, pay the mana.
But
Oi.
the, but there
Oh, there we go.
but there we go. 6 damage when they
Yeah.
could have just kept the Arboreal Grazer another turn,
Mm,
and instead, you know, soaked up 6 damage instead of 3.
yeah. So speaking of paying mana again, oh there we go. Man, these guys are sort of skipping through. So that should so in my opinion, when you're resolving a spell here, you should pay the mana first before playing the spell. especially when
You
with something
are
like this where
allowed.
it's not obvious.
You are allowed to declare a spell before you tap your land.
Mm,
However, I agree. Obviously, before you attack, you should be tapping your land, and especially when you have 3 different lands. You know, there's a decision for Bant auras. Do they want to leave double green open, or do they want to tap white and blue?
yeah. So, and I think as well, it's just to remove any sort of doubt, right? Because sometimes plays are determined entirely on what's being tapped or what's being used.
Okay, so looking at what they want to discard, it looks like they're choosing between Yavimaya Coast and Otawara. They can't
Mhm.
play another Otawara without having to sacrifice the one that they have in play.
Yeah.
So that might be a consideration. However, Otawara can bounce a Squirrel here, which would take care of those 2 auras and leave Path of Peril. I believe that's Path of Peril in their hand for a later turn for future creatures. So
Yeah.
that might be the decision that they're making. I believe they'll want to keep Path of Power, Emergent Ultimatum, and Sylvan Scrying to be able to go get the Thespian stage that they probably need quite a lot.
Yeah. Although if you think about it, the Bant Auras player does have blue mana up. And in what's 1 blue but 2 mana in this format? That's right. Lofty Denial. Now, very bad counterspell in this position. So we're probably just gonna go with Make Disappear. And maybe that's an option. I haven't fully looked at the Bant Auras list, but maybe there's a bit of protection for the creature. Maybe.
Maybe. So this is the Liber Cryptomancer, which has backup 1, flash, and hexproof. And when it enters the battlefield, you can choose a creature to back up. And so this gives scrolls until end of turn. And
it
so
does
that
give
means
hexproof. Yeah.
And so that means the Saliba Cryptomancer also now has hexproof just forever. It's just a static thing.
Oh, and the aura is just stacking up as well.
Yeah. However, in fairness to the Lotus Field player, if they manage to survive this turn, they can Path of Peril, and there's unlikely to be a protection spell left.
Yeah. But
that
again,
can
once
get
again,
through a Path of Peril.
yeah, once again, there is that 2 mana open, 1 blue again, but a Cyber, like you said, a Cyber will not do it for the Lotus Field player. They maybe a Cyber after the board wipe, which is coming down.
So there we go.
And
There's the Path of Peril.
But the Aurors player will be able to draw the card because of Audacity.
Yep. I have no idea why their graveyard's upside down.
I mean, the guy forgets to tap his mana. The guy likes to put his graveyard upside down. Maybe he exiled it. Oh, there's a
So there is a Cryptomancer end step. So if they have a few auras, they might be able to win this. And as we can see, they choose to get a Lotus Field. They need to sacrifice 2 lands here.
They're not sacrificing 2 lands.
So they should. They got a Lotus Field because they don't have to pay 2 mana.
He also tapped. Also, a creature of vigilance just got tapped.
So Lotus Field in the hand is not on the battlefield. I believe they got Lotus Field so that they don't have to pay 2 for Thespian stage. That was their thinking.
Yeah, the Cyber should be untapped, by the way. It's currently tapped. But
okay, so the Lotus Field player is just saying that they can Hidden Strings twice to get up to enough mana to then cast
and then do the full combo again. We have been saved from looking at that again, but good game to the Lotus Field player being able to survive that onslaught